Listen carefully. Your life is not random. Your thoughts decide your emotions. Your emotions decide your habits. Your habits decide your finances. And your finances decide the freedom you think you'll have one day. But that day never comes unless you take control. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Right now. This audiobook will show you how to stop being controlled by impulses, moods, and money stress, and start becoming the person who decides, directs, and dominates their inner world. Control your mind, and everything else follows. Chapter 1. Your mind is either a weapon or a prison. Your mind is not neutral. Let that land. It is never idle. It is never just thinking. It is never harmless. Your mind is either working for you or working against you. There is no middle ground. An undirected mind destroys its owner. That is not poetry. That is reality. Look at your life right now. Not the version you talk about. The version you live. Your income. Your habits. Your emotional reactions. Your consistency. Your follow-through. All of it began as a thought. Not a circumstance. Not luck. Not other people. A thought. Repeated thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become behaviors. Behaviors become outcomes. That's the chain. Break it at the start, or it controls you for life. You have a choice. Most people never realize that. They think their mind is them. They think every thought deserves attention. Every emotion deserves obedience. Every impulse deserves action. It doesn't. And until you learn that, you are not in control. You are managed by habit, by mood, by fear, by distraction. That's the key. A weapon is something you wield intentionally. A prison is something that holds you without permission. Your mind can be either. The difference is discipline, not motivation, not intelligence, not talent. Discipline. Look around the world. Some of the most talented people are stuck. High potential, high intelligence, big dreams. Years go by. Nothing changes. But because talent without mental control is useless. You've seen it. The gifted student who never finishes. The creative person who never executes. The smart worker who never advances. The entrepreneur with endless ideas and zero results. Same pattern. They let their mind wander. They let emotion lead. They let distraction decide. An undirected mind destroys its owner. Slowly, quietly, convincingly. The mind whispers excuses that sound reasonable. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not in the mood. I need more information. I'm different. This is just who I am. But that's not truth. That's lack of control. You don't need their permission. Not society's. Not your past's. Not even your own habits. You need command. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you cannot control what you think about, you cannot control what you feel. If you cannot control what you feel, you cannot control what you do. And if you cannot control what you do, you cannot control where your life goes. That's not motivational talk. That's cause and effect. Your mind is the first battlefield. Lose it, and every other fight is already lost. Win it, and discipline spreads into everything else. Your health, your finances, your relationships, your self-respect. This is where it starts. Not with changing your life, with changing what you allow to occupy your mind. Most people let their mind run wild all day. Endless scrolling, endless comparison, endless worry, endless imaginary conversations. No filter, no direction, no authority. Then they wonder why they feel anxious, why they feel tired, why they feel stuck. You feel stuck because your mind is stuck, thinking the same thoughts, reacting the same way, rehearsing the same fears. You have a choice. You can keep letting your mind entertain anything that knocks. Or you can decide, consciously, that not every thought deserves attention. That's the shift. That's the beginning of control. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them. And that distinction changes everything. Here is what you must stop doing. Stop indulging every negative thought. Stop arguing with weakness. Stop negotiating with procrastination. Weakness does not need discussion. It needs direction. When a thought appears that does not serve discipline, clarity, or progress, you do not analyze it. You dismiss it. Simple. From non-emotional. That thought does not help me. Not now. Move on. That's the key. Control is not about force. It's about selection. You decide what stays. You decide what goes. This feels uncomfortable at first, because you've been letting your mind drive for years. Taking back the wheel feels unnatural. But discomfort is the price of authority. Now let's talk about focus. Focus is not something you wait for. It is something you enforce. Most people wait until they feel focused. That feeling never comes. Focused people don't feel focused. They act focused. They sit down anyway. They begin anyway. They stay anyway. It's not about mood. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Your mind learns from what you repeatedly do, not what you intend. Every time you quit early, your mind learns weakness. Every time you push through resistance, your mind learns obedience. That's training. And training always feels repetitive. That's why most people avoid it. They want novelty. They want excitement. They want inspiration. But control is built through repetition. Doing the same right thing, even when nothing feels exciting. An undirected mind destroys its owner. A trained mind builds empires. Here is a practical rule you will use starting today. When you notice your mind drifting into fear, distraction, or self-doubt, do not follow it. First, breathe. Then ask one question. What is the next disciplined action? Not the perfect action. Not the big action. The disciplined one. Make the call. Open the document. Stand up. Turn off the phone. Small command. Immediate obedience. That's how you retrain the mind. You don't overpower it once. You condition it daily. And slowly, something changes. Your thoughts become quieter. Your emotions become steadier. Your actions become cleaner. Because your mind knows who's in charge. You have a choice. Either you command your mind, or it commands you. Either it becomes your sharpest weapon, or your most comfortable prison. And prisons are dangerous, because they feel familiar. You don't notice you're trapped, until years are gone. This chapter is not about positivity. It's about authority. Authority over attention. Authority over reaction. Authority over inner dialogue. Control the mind first, because nothing else obeys you until you do. Not habits. Not emotions. Not money. Not results. Everything begins here. You've taken the first step. You've recognized the battlefield. Now it's time to learn how thoughts turn into commands. How repetition rewires behavior. How internal language shapes external outcomes. You've claimed authority. Now you must understand the mechanism. You've seen the prison. Now it's time to learn how thoughts become orders. Chapter 2. Thoughts become commands when repeated. Every thought you repeat becomes an instruction. Not an idea. Not a suggestion. An instruction. Your brain does not debate repeated thoughts. It executes them. Quietly. Automatically. Relentlessly. What you say internally, you obey externally. That's not philosophy. That's neuroscience. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. It looks for consistency. It looks for repetition. And when it hears the same message again and again, it assumes it must be important. So it builds behavior around it. That's the key. Most people think they are struggling with discipline. They are not. They are struggling with untrained internal language. Listen to how people talk to themselves. I'm bad with money. I always mess this up. I'm not confident. I'm lazy. I'll never change. They say it casually, jokingly, without thinking. But the brain is listening. And the brain does not understand jokes. It understands repetition. Say something often enough, and your brain turns it into a rule. Then it enforces that rule through behavior. You hesitate. You avoid risk. You undercharge. You quit early. Not because you chose to, but because you trained yourself to. You have a choice. You can keep letting your thoughts program you by accident. Or you can take control and program yourself on purpose. Right now, most of your behavior is automated. Not because you're weak, but because repetition created habit. And habit removed conscious choice. That's why change feels hard. You're not fighting reality. You're fighting software. Here's the hard truth. Your confidence level is not a personality trait. Your income ceiling is not fixed. Your self-control is not genetic. They are reflections of repeated internal commands. Think about someone who constantly tells themselves, I'm not ready. They wait. They delay. They over-prepare. Not because the world is stopping them, because their mind is following orders. Another person repeats, I figure things out. They act. They adjust. They move forward imperfectly. Same circumstances. Different commands. Different life. What you say internally, you obey externally. That sentence should disturb you, because it means every excuse you repeat becomes a law you live under. And laws shape lives. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop rehearsing weakness. Stop narrating your limitations. Stop labeling yourself with language that locks you in place. I'm anxious. I'm bad at this. I can't focus. Those are not observations. They are commands. And the brain loves obeying them. It's not about honesty. It's about discipline. You don't need their permission to change how you talk to yourself. Not your pasts. Not your environments. Not even your own emotions. You need structure. The first step is awareness. You cannot change what you do not catch. For the next few days, listen to your internal dialogue. Not once. Constantly. Notice how often your mind predicts failure. Notice how often it exaggerates difficulty. Notice how often it defaults to comfort. That voice is not evil. It's trained. And anything trained can be retrained. That's the key. Now you learn interruption. When a destructive thought appears, you do not argue with it. Arguing gives it attention. Attention gives it power. You interrupt it. Firmly. Briefly. Stop. Not useful. Incorrect. Then you replace it. Not with fantasy. With command. Instead of, I don't feel like doing this, you say, do it anyway. Instead of, I always fail, you say, execute the next step. Instead of, this is too hard, you say, focus. One action. Simple language. Direct language. Because your brain responds to clarity. You are not trying to feel better. You are trying to act better. Feelings will follow later. This is where most people quit. Because replacement feels fake at first. Of course it does. The old script has been repeated for years. The new one feels unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean wrong. It means new. Discipline always feels unnatural at the beginning. Because comfort trained you one way. Now you're training yourself another. And training requires repetition. You don't change a thought once. You override it hundreds of times. That's how habits are built. That's how identity shifts. Let's talk about money. People say, "I want more money." But internally, they repeat, "Money is stressful. I'll probably lose it." Rich people are different. So they avoid responsibility. They avoid risk. They avoid learning. Then they wonder why their finances never change. The behavior obeyed the command. Same with confidence. Someone repeats, "I'm awkward. I'm not good with people." So they speak less. They avoid opportunities. They shrink. The mind followed instructions. What you say internally, you obey externally. Say it again. What you say internally, you obey externally. That is why this chapter matters. You cannot build discipline on top of self-sabotaging language. It collapses. So here is your practical framework. 3 steps. Interrupt. Replace. Catch the thought the moment it appears. Interrupt it without emotion. Replace it with a command that moves you forward. Not a compliment. A command. Start. Finish. Focus. Breathe. Next task. Commands build action. Action builds confidence. Confidence reinforces new thoughts. That's the loop. And loops are powerful. You have been living in the wrong loop. Now you install a new one. This is not positive thinking. This is disciplined thinking. Positive thinking hopes. Disciplined thinking directs. Hope is passive. Direction is active. You have a choice. You can let your mind repeat whatever it wants. Or you can decide what gets repeated. And repetition is what shapes destiny. Say something long enough, and your brain will make it true through behavior. That should make you careful and intentional. Now listen closely. You will not eliminate negative thoughts completely. That's not the goal. The goal is dominance. You don't need silence. You need authority. When a negative thought appears, you acknowledge it and override it. Just like a leader overrides bad advice. Calmly, without drama. "I hear you. We're doing this anyway." That tone matters. No anger. No frustration. Certainty. That's the key. The mind respects certainty. And certainty comes from repetition. Every time you choose disciplined language, you strengthen the habit. Every time you let weak language slide, you reinforce the old pattern. No exceptions. Consistency beats intensity. Boys, this is how thoughts become tools instead of traps. This is how the inner voice becomes an ally instead of a saboteur. This is how you stop living on emotional autopilot. You don't need permission to speak to yourself differently. You don't need proof first. You need repetition. Because repetition is what creates proof. And now you understand the mechanism. Thoughts repeated become commands. Commands repeated become behavior. Behavior repeated becomes identity. Identity repeated becomes destiny. You've learned how the mind gives orders. Now you must learn how emotion follows those orders. Because thoughts don't just shape action. They shape feeling. You've taken control of the internal language. Now it's time to direct emotional energy instead of being ruled by it. You've rewritten the commands. Now you must learn how to use emotion as fuel, not friction. Chapter 3. Emotional control is not suppression, it's direction. Most people misunderstand emotions. They think emotional control means pretending you don't feel anything. They think strength means numbness. They think discipline means suppression. It doesn't. Suppression creates pressure. Pressure eventually explodes. That's why people snap. That's why people self-sabotage. That's why people make one emotional decision that costs them years. Emotions are not enemies. They are energy. Powerful, unfiltered energy. And energy, when unmanaged, creates chaos. But energy, when directed, creates results. That's the key. The problem is not that you feel emotions. The problem is that emotions have been deciding your actions. Anger tells you to react. Fear tells you to avoid. Frustration tells you to quit. Comfort tells you to delay. And you listen, not because you're weak, because you were never taught control. You have a choice. You can continue letting emotions sit in the driver's seat, or you can learn to feel them fully and still decide your actions consciously. Feel it fully, then choose the action. That sentence should become automatic, because emotional control is not about denial. It's about authority. Let's talk about anger. Anger is one of the most misunderstood emotions. People are told anger is bad, dangerous, destructive. That's only true when it's undirected. Undirected anger explodes outward. It damages relationships. It destroys opportunities. Or it implodes inward, becomes resentment, becomes self-hate. But directed anger? Directed anger builds discipline. Anger says, this is unacceptable. The question is not whether you feel it. The question is where you send it. Most people send anger into words, arguments, complaints, social media. Disciplined people send anger into action. They train harder. They focus longer. They cut distractions faster. Same emotion, different direction. That's power. It's not about calm. It's about control. Fear works the same way. Fear is information. It signals risk. It signals importance. But undirected fear paralyzes. It creates excuses, overthinking, delay. Directed fear sharpens attention. It makes you prepare. It makes you focus. It makes you act deliberately. Feel it fully. Then choose the action. That's the formula. You don't numb fear. You don't fight it. You acknowledge it. Then you override it. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop acting in the moment of peak emotion. That moment is always dishonest. When emotion spikes, perception narrows. You see less. You think less. You regret more. So stop reacting immediately. That pause, right there, is discipline. When emotion rises, you pause. You breathe. You name the emotion. I feel angry. I feel anxious. I feel frustrated. Naming it creates distance. Distance creates choice. You have a choice. And then you ask one question. What is the disciplined action here? Not the satisfying action. Not the loud action. The disciplined one. That's the key. Emotions want release. Discipline wants direction. Release feels good short-term. Direction pays long-term. Most people choose relief. Disciplined people choose results. Let's talk about frustration. Frustration usually appears when effort does not produce immediate reward. And most people interpret that as a signal to stop. Wrong. Frustration is a signal that you are at the edge of growth. It means resistance. And resistance is where strength is built. If you quit at frustration, you train avoidance. If you continue through frustration, you train resilience. It's not about the emotion. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about the emotion. It's about discipline. Discipline is what decides behavior when emotion is loud. This is why emotional people stay inconsistent. They wait until they feel right. They wait until motivation returns. They wait until confidence appears. That waiting is the trap. Confidence comes after disciplined action, not before. Calm comes after control, not before. You don't need emotional stability to act. You need standards. Standards don't negotiate. Standards execute. Here's a rule you will live by. You never decide important actions while emotionally flooded. You delay action, but not responsibility. You pause, then act deliberately. That pause is where power lives. Most people skip it. That's why emotions control them. You don't need their permission to pause. Not your bosses. Not your partners. Not society's. You need command over yourself. Now let's be clear. This does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming precise. You still feel joy. You still feel sadness. You still feel anger. But they no longer decide for you. You decide. That's adulthood. That's leadership. That's self-mastery. And self-mastery is the foundation of everything else in this book. Your habits, your money, your future. Emotional discipline is a daily practice, not a one-time insight. Every day, emotions will test you. Every day, you choose direction or reaction. There are no days off. But it gets easier, because every time you pause instead of react, you reinforce control. Every time you choose action over impulse, you strengthen authority. The mind learns who's in charge, and emotions begin to fall in line. Not because they disappear, but because they are finally led. Remember this. Emotions are energy. Energy needs direction. Without it, it burns everything down. With it, it builds momentum. You have a choice. Feel it fully, then choose the action. That sentence should guide every difficult moment, every uncomfortable conversation, every urge to quit, every impulse to escape. This chapter locks in one truth. You are not here to eliminate emotion. You are here to command it. You've learned how thoughts give orders. Now you've learned how emotions fuel or sabotage those orders. The next step is learning how to stop reacting automatically altogether. How to replace impulse with intention. You've directed emotion. Now you must master decision-making itself. You've gained control over feeling. Now it's time to gain control over reaction. You've stepped out of emotional chaos. Now it's time to step into conscious choice. Chapter 4. Stop reacting. Start deciding. Reaction is automatic. Decision is trained. Reaction is what happens when you are late to your own mind. Decision is what happens when you arrive early and take command. Most people live in reaction. They react to messages. They react to tone. They react to criticism. They react to pressure. And then they call that personality. It's not personality. It's lack of control. Reaction is weakness, not because it feels weak, but because it removes choice. And without choice, there is no power. That's the key. Every reaction skips one critical step. The pause. The pause is where discipline lives. The pause is where you interrupt instinct and install intention. And most people never pause. They answer immediately. They explain immediately. They defend immediately. They lash out immediately. Then they deal with the consequences for months. One sentence said too fast. One decision made too early. One reaction that cannot be taken back. You have a choice. You can keep living at the speed of impulse, or you can slow down just enough to decide. That slowness is not weakness. It is strength under control. Let's talk about criticism. Criticism is one of the biggest reaction triggers. Someone questions you, doubts you, undermines you. Your body reacts before your mind does. Heart rate rises. Jaw tightens. Thoughts race. And most people respond right there. They explain. They justify. They argue. Reaction. But disciplined people do something different. They pause. They let the emotion pass through. And then they decide. Sometimes the decision is silence. Sometimes it's distance. Sometimes it's action, not words. Strategic silence is power. Silence forces others to reveal more. Silence prevents regret. Silence keeps authority intact. You don't need their permission to stay quiet. You don't need to prove anything in the moment. Proof is built over time. That's the key. Reaction tries to protect ego. Decision protects direction. And direction is what builds results. Most reactions come from one thing: urgency. The false belief that something must be handled right now. It rarely does. Urgency is often emotional, not real. Emails feel urgent. Messages feel urgent. Opinions feel urgent. They're not. Your response does not need to be immediate to be effective. In fact, delayed responses are often better. They are cleaner, calmer, more precise. Reaction scatters energy. Decision concentrates it. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop answering immediately. Stop committing emotionally in the moment. Stop reacting when your nervous system is activated. When emotion is high, intelligence is low. That's not an insult. It's biology. Your brain shifts into survival mode. That mode is not designed for strategy. It's designed for escape or attack. Neither build a life. That's why "I'll respond later" is a powerful phrase. Later means after clarity returns. Later means after choice is restored. Later means after discipline steps in. You have a choice. You can respond from emotion, or you can respond from intention. Only one of those leads to consistency. Now let's talk about decision-making. Decision-making is a skill. And like all skills, it improves with practice. But most people avoid deciding. They delay. They wait for perfect information. They wait for confidence. That waiting is disguised fear. Decision does not require certainty. It requires standards. Disciplined people decide based on principle, not feeling. They ask, what aligns with my long-term direction? What reinforces discipline? What builds momentum? Not what feels good right now. What avoids discomfort? What gets approval? Approval seeking creates reaction. Principle creates decision. It's not about confidence. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about confidence. It's about discipline. Confidence comes after decisive action, never before. Here is the mantra you will drill. Pause first. Choose second. Pause first. Choose. Even 1 second is enough. That second breaks the automatic chain. That second returns authority to you. Then you choose. Not the easiest option. Not the loudest option. The disciplined one. This applies everywhere. Spending money. Responding to conflict. Quitting a task. Starting a task. Pause first. Choose second. That's the key. Let's talk about impulse. Impulse is reaction in disguise. Impulse says, just do it now. Discipline says, decide if it's aligned. Impulse eats time. Impulse drains money. Impulse ruins progress. Most regret is not about what people did. It's about how fast they did it. Too fast. Too emotional. Too unfiltered. When you slow down, regret drops. Because decision-making improves. Here's a practical rule. If a decision feels emotionally charged, delay it. If it feels rushed, delay it. If it feels like you must answer right now, delay it. Delay is not avoidance. Delay is control. And control compounds. This does not mean indecision. It means intentional timing. There is a difference. Indecision avoids responsibility. Delay protects clarity. Disciplined people still decide. They just don't rush. You don't need their permission to take time. Not your bosses. Not your families. Not societies. You are allowed to decide deliberately. That's leadership. Reaction is cheap. Decision is expensive. It costs attention. It costs patience. It costs restraint. But it pays back everything. Better outcomes. Better reputation. Better self-respect. And self-respect is built every time you choose discipline over impulse. This chapter locks in a shift. You stop living like life is happening to you, and start living like you are happening to life. You don't eliminate emotion. You don't eliminate pressure. You eliminate automatic behavior. That's control. And control is the foundation of habit. Because habits are repeated decisions, not reactions. You've learned to control thoughts. You've learned to direct emotions. Now you've learned to pause before acting. That pause changes everything. Because habits don't change in chaos. They change in structure. You've stepped out of reaction. Now you must understand how small, repeated choices shape your future. You've slowed the moment. Now it's time to examine what those moments are building. You've gained the ability to decide. Now you must learn what every decision is actually voting for. You've mastered the pause. Now it's time to master the pattern. Chapter 5. Habits are votes for the life you're building. Every habit is a vote. Not a suggestion. Not a preference. A vote. A vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you repeat a behavior, you are casting a ballot for a future version of yourself. Focused, distracted, free, trapped. No habit is neutral. That's the key. Most people think habits are small. They think habits don't matter because each action feels insignificant. One day doesn't change anything. One mistake doesn't matter. One indulgence won't hurt. That thinking destroys lives slowly. Because habits don't work through intensity. They work through accumulation. You don't rise to goals. You fall to habits. Say it again. You don't rise to goals. You fall to habits. Goals are wishes. Habits are systems. And systems always win. Look at your life right now. Not your intentions. Not your plans. Your actual life. It is the result of habits repeated long enough to become reality. Your body, your bank account, your confidence, your discipline. None of it happened overnight. It happened one small decision at a time. That's uncomfortable because it removes excuses. But it's also empowering because it means change does not require a dramatic overhaul. It requires different votes. You have a choice. You can keep voting for the life you complain about, or you can start voting for the life you want. Most people focus on outcomes. They say, I want more money. I want confidence. I want freedom. But outcomes are lagging indicators. Habits are leading indicators. Change the habit, and the outcome follows. Ignore the habit, and the goal remains fantasy. That's the key. Let's talk about money. Money problems are rarely caused by lack of income. They are caused by undisciplined habits. Small spending, impulse purchases, comfort buying, avoidance of tracking. Each one feels harmless until they stack. Scrolling instead of learning, ordering instead of cooking, delaying instead of deciding. Those are habits. And habits compound silently. People don't go broke in one decision. They go broke through thousands of undisciplined ones. You don't need their permission to look at your habits honestly. Not society's. Not your friends. Not your past's. Honesty is discipline. And discipline is how habits change. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop relying on motivation. Motivation is temporary. Habits are permanent. If you wait to feel like it, you will stay exactly where you are. Habits do not care how you feel. They run anyway. That's why bad habits are so powerful. They don't ask permission. They just execute. Your job is not to feel motivated. Your job is to build habits that execute even when motivation disappears. That's discipline. It's not about desire. It's about structure. Say it again. It's not about desire. It's about discipline. Now let's talk about identity. Most people try to change habits from the outside in. They say, I'll stop this habit once I become disciplined. Wrong order. Habits create identity. Identity reinforces habits. That's the loop. Every time you complete a habit, you cast a vote. I am disciplined. I follow through. I do hard things. Or the opposite. I quit. I avoid. I delay. Those votes accumulate, and eventually they feel true. That's why change feels hard. You're not just changing behavior. You're challenging identity. But identity is not fixed. It's built daily through habits. That's the key. Let's talk about scrolling. Scrolling feels passive, harmless, but it's a habit that trains distraction. Every time you scroll instead of focusing, you vote for a distracted identity. Every time you check instead of create, you vote for consumption over production. Those votes don't feel dramatic, but they are decisive. Hours turn into days. Days turn into years. And potential turns into regret. You have a choice. You can keep voting unconsciously, or you can vote intentionally. Intentional habits are simple. Not easy. Simple. They remove choice. They reduce friction. They execute automatically. Here's what you start doing. You choose one habit to install. Not 10, but something small enough to repeat daily. Something aligned with the identity you want. And you protect it. You do it even when it feels pointless. Because repetition is what makes it powerful. Missing once is a mistake. Missing twice is a new habit. That's the rule. Consistency beats intensity. Boys, a small habit done daily beats a big effort done occasionally. That's how discipline is built. You don't rise to goals. You fall to habits. Now let's talk about weakness. Weakness is not lack of ability. It is lack of consistency. Most people are capable of doing the right thing. They just don't do it often enough. They rely on bursts of effort, then disappear. That inconsistency trains the brain to quit. Discipline trains the brain to persist. Every habit is a message to your nervous system. This is who we are. And the nervous system believes repetition, not promises. So stop promising. Start repeating. You don't need their permission to build habits quietly. You don't need applause. You don't need validation. In fact, habits grow stronger in silence. Because they're not fueled by attention. They're fueled by commitment. Now here's a hard truth. You already have habits. You are already disciplined. Just not always in the direction you want. You are disciplined at checking your phone. Disciplined at avoiding discomfort. Disciplined at choosing convenience. That discipline can be redirected. That's good news. It means you don't need more willpower. You need better systems. Systems remove decision-making. They make the right action easier than the wrong one. That's discipline at scale. Change the environment. Change the habit. Change the outcome. That's the formula. This chapter locks in one principle. You are not defined by your goals. You are defined by your habits. And habits are built one vote at a time. Every day asks the same question. Who are you becoming? Your habits answer it. Automatically. Relentlessly. You've learned how thoughts give orders. You've learned how emotions fuel action. You've learned how to pause and decide. Now you understand what those decisions are actually building. A future. Or a trap. And the choice is made daily. Quietly. You don't need a dramatic breakthrough. You need disciplined repetition. Because repetition is destiny. You've seen the power of habits. Now it's time to understand why discipline feels restrictive, but is actually freedom. You've learned how habits shape life. Now you must learn why discipline unlocks it. You've cast the votes. Now it's time to claim the reward. Chapter 6. Discipline is freedom in disguise. Most people fear discipline. They hear the word and think of restriction, rules, limitations, pressure. They think discipline will shrink their life. It won't. Lack of discipline is what shrinks it. Discipline does not take freedom away. Discipline gives it back. That's the key. Look closely at undisciplined lives. They look free on the surface. No structure, no routine, no rules. But underneath? Chaos, stress, financial pressure, emotional swings, regret. Undisciplined people are not free. They're reacting all day. Reacting to mood. Reacting to cravings. Reacting to emergencies they created themselves. That is not freedom. That is exhaustion. Discipline feels restrictive at first because it removes options. But most options are distractions. And distractions are expensive. What you discipline today won't control you tomorrow. Say it again. What you discipline today won't control you tomorrow. That sentence explains everything. People who avoid discipline today pay with stress later. People who choose discipline today buy peace later. You have a choice. Short-term discomfort or long-term chaos. There is no third option. Let's talk about decision fatigue. Every day, the undisciplined mind is forced to decide everything. What time to wake up, what to eat, what to work on, what to ignore, what to buy. That constant deciding drains mental energy. And when energy is low, discipline disappears. So people make emotional decisions. They overspend. They procrastinate. They snap. They quit. Not because they are weak, because they are tired. Structure fixes that. Structure removes decisions. Routine protects energy. That's freedom. Disciplined people are not thinking all day. They are executing. Wake-up time is decided. Work blocks are decided. Spending rules are decided. So when pressure hits, they don't collapse. They continue. That's power. And power always feels calm. Chaos feels exciting at first, until it destroys consistency. Discipline feels boring at first, until it creates stability. And stability creates freedom. That's the trade. Now let's be honest. Discipline is uncomfortable in the beginning, because it exposes weakness. It shows you how often you quit, how often you delay, how often you choose comfort. That awareness hurts. But pain is information, and information leads to improvement. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop associating discipline with punishment. Discipline is not something you do to yourself. It is something you do for yourself. It protects your future. It protects your energy. It protects your time. It protects your money. Undisciplined freedom is fake. It borrows happiness from tomorrow. And tomorrow always collects with interest. That's the key. Let's talk about routines. Routines sound boring to emotional minds. But routines create predictability. And predictability creates calm. Calm creates clarity. Clarity creates better decisions. Better decisions create better outcomes. This is not theory. It's neurological. Your nervous system loves predictability. It relaxes when it knows what's next. That's why structured days feel lighter, and chaotic days feel heavy. Even when nothing bad happens, structure reduces anxiety, not motivation. Anxiety, that's freedom. Now think about finances. People say they want financial freedom, but they avoid financial discipline. They don't track. They don't budget. They don't set rules. So money controls them. Bills surprise them. Expenses stress them. Emergencies destroy them. That's not freedom. That's dependence. Discipline flips that. Spending rules remove guilt. Saving systems remove fear. Automation removes temptation. And suddenly money stops shouting. That's silence? That's freedom. What you discipline today won't control you tomorrow. Say it again. What you discipline today won't control you tomorrow. Now let's talk about emotions. Undisciplined emotions feel intense. High highs, low lows. People confuse intensity with aliveness. It's not. It's instability. Disciplined routines stabilize emotions. Sleep routines, work routines, movement routines. They regulate hormones. They smooth emotional spikes. So reactions decrease. And calm increases. That calm is not dull. It's controlled. And controlled energy is powerful. You have a choice. You can chase emotional excitement. Or you can build emotional stability. Only one creates long-term success. Now let's talk about resistance. Resistance always shows up before discipline becomes habit. Your mind will argue. This is too strict. I deserve flexibility. I'll do it tomorrow. That voice is predictable. And predictable voices can be ignored. You don't negotiate with resistance. You execute through it. That's discipline. It's not about motivation. It's about obedience. Obedience to the system you chose. Not the feeling you woke up with. You don't need their permission to be disciplined. Not your friends. Not your families. Not societies. You don't need to explain why you wake up early. Why you say no. Why you leave early. Why you repeat the same routine. Results explain themselves. Silently. Here's a practical instruction. Build discipline in boring places. Sleep, food, movement, money, food. These are not glamorous, but they control everything else. If these are undisciplined, nothing compensates. If these are disciplined, everything improves. That's the key. Start small. One routine. One rule. One boundary. Protect it. Repeat it. Let it become automatic. Automatic discipline is freedom, because it costs no effort, and effort is finite. Now listen carefully. Discipline is front-loaded pain. Regret is back-loaded pain. Choose your pain. One builds strength. The other builds resentment. This chapter locks in a truth most people never accept. The more disciplined you become, the fewer problems you have to solve. Because discipline prevents problems before they appear. No scrambling. No panic. No cleanup. Just execution. That's freedom. You've learned how thoughts command behavior. You've learned how emotions can be directed. You've learned how to pause and decide. You've learned how habits shape identity. Now you understand why discipline holds it all together. Discipline is the structure that makes freedom possible. Without it, freedom collapses into chaos. With it, freedom becomes sustainable. You've removed internal chaos. Now it's time to remove external chaos. Because your environment is either reinforcing discipline or destroying it. You've disciplined the self. Now you must discipline what surrounds you. Chapter 7. Your environment is programming you. You think you're in control. You think your choices come from willpower, from motivation, from intention. They don't. Most of your behavior is automated, triggered, prompted, pulled out of you by what surrounds you. That's the key. Your environment is not neutral. It is not passive. It is training you every single day. Silently. Relentlessly, without asking for permission. If you don't design your environment, it will design you. And it will not design you for strength. It will design you for convenience, for distraction, for consumption. You have a choice, but only if you recognize the programming first. Let's start with a hard truth. Motivation is weak. Environment is strong. Motivation shows up occasionally. Environment shows up constantly. That's why relying on motivation fails. You feel inspired in the morning. You feel disciplined for a moment. Then the phone lights up. Noise enters. People interrupt. Temptation appears. And the environment wins. Not because you're broken, because the system is stronger than the individual. That's psychology. Behavior follows cues. Always has. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. It reacts faster than it reasons. So when cues are constant, behavior becomes automatic. That's why you check your phone without thinking. Why you snack without hunger. Why you spend without intention. Not weakness. Conditioning. And conditioning can be changed. But first, you must stop lying to yourself. Stop saying, "I just need more discipline." You already learned discipline is structure. And structure must exist outside your head. Because discipline collapses under constant temptation. That's not failure. That's biology. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer triggers. That's the key. Look around you right now. What is within arm's reach? Your phone. Notifications. Noise. Screens. People talking. Clutter. Each one is pulling attention. Each one is demanding energy. Each one is programming behavior. Attention goes where the environment points it, not where intention wishes it would go. That's why focus feels hard. Not because you lack ability, because your environment is hostile to focus. Now listen carefully. You must stop blaming yourself for what your environment encourages, and start taking responsibility for what you allow around you. Responsibility is power. Blame is weakness. You have a choice. Let's talk about the phone. It is the most powerful behavioral conditioning device ever created. Constant novelty, variable rewards, social validation, endless input. Your brain is not designed to resist that all day. No one's is. So stop pretending you'll just use it less. That's not a plan. That's hope. Hope is not a strategy. Discipline is. You don't need your phone everywhere. You don't need it on your desk, on your bed, in your pocket at all times. Those are choices. And choices create behavior. If the phone is visible, it is active. If it is active, attention leaks. If attention leaks, focus dies. That's the chain. Break it at the environment level. Put the phone in another room. Turn off non-essential notifications. Create physical distance. That's not extreme. That's intelligent. It's not about addiction. It's about discipline. Next, people. Your environment includes humans. And humans are powerful cues. The people you're around normalize behavior. If everyone is distracted, distraction feels acceptable. If everyone complains, complaining feels normal. If everyone avoids effort, avoidance feels safe. You don't rise to your goals. You sink to your surroundings. That's the key. This doesn't mean cut everyone off. It means stop absorbing everything. You don't need their permission to outgrow environments. You don't need to explain why you leave earlier, why you say no, why you stop participating in unproductive conversations. Your future doesn't require consensus. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop placing yourself in environments that reward weakness, loud places that destroy focus, people who mock discipline, spaces filled with distraction. You already know which ones those are. Your body reacts before your mind does. Pay attention to that. Now here's what you must start doing. Design environments that make the right behavior the default. not the heroic choice. The default. Remove friction from discipline. Add friction to weakness. That's how habits are built. If healthy food is visible, you eat it. If junk is hidden, you forget it. If your workspace is clean, you work. If it's cluttered, you avoid. If books are accessible, you read. If screens dominate, you scroll. Behavior follows layout. Boys, this is not about perfection. It's about alignment. Your environment should pull you forward, not backwards. Now let's talk about noise. Noise is not just sound. Noise is information overload. Too many inputs. Too many opinions. Too much content. Noise fragments thinking. Fragmented thinking creates shallow action. Shallow action creates mediocre results. Silence sharpens focus. Structure protects silence. You don't need constant stimulation. You need space to think. That's where clarity lives. That's where discipline strengthens. You have a choice. Consume constantly, or control intake. Only one leads to mastery. Here's a practical instruction. Create zones. A focus zone. A rest zone. A consumption zone. Stop mixing them. Don't work where you scroll. Don't rest where you stress. Don't think where you consume. Your brain associates locations with behavior. Use that. Train it. That's discipline. And discipline, again, is freedom in disguise. Now let's hit a deeper layer. Your environment also includes what you allow into your mind. Conversations. Ideas. If you constantly consume low-quality input, you produce low-quality output. That's not judgment. That's cause and effect. You must stop feeding your mind garbage and expecting clarity. It doesn't work. Replace random input with intentional input. Books over feeds. Silence over noise. Long-form thinking over short bursts. This is not about being disconnected. It's about being directed. Directed people move faster. Undirected people stay busy and go nowhere. That's the key. Now understand this. Designing your environment is an act of self-respect. It says, my future matters more than my impulses. It says, I'm not waiting to feel like it. It says, I am building systems that protect me from myself. That's maturity. That's strength. That's leadership. You don't rise when motivation spikes. You rise when your environment supports discipline. So stop asking, why can't I stay consistent? And start asking, what around me is making inconsistency easy? Then remove it. No drama. No guilt. No announcement. Just action. Because results don't require explanation. They require structure. You've learned that discipline is freedom. Now you've learned how to make discipline automatic. By designing what surrounds you. By removing temptation instead of fighting it. By choosing environments that pull you forward. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are aligning with yourself. And alignment creates momentum. You've taken control of your habits. Now it's time to take control of your identity. Because how you see yourself determines how long discipline lasts. You've changed the system. Next, you must change the story. Chapter 8. Money obeys habits, not motivation. Let's remove the fantasy. Money is not emotional. Money is not inspired. Money does not care how motivated you feel. Money follows behavior. That's the key. You don't get wealthy because you want it badly. You don't stay broke because you don't want it enough. You end up where your habits place you. Every time. Financial success is not an intelligence problem. It's a discipline problem. People love to believe they just need more income. A raise. A breakthrough. A lucky break. That story feels comfortable. Because it delays responsibility. But here's the truth. If your habits don't change, your income won't save you. Say it again. If your habits don't change, your income won't save you. There are people earning more than you who are drowning. Stress, paycheck to paycheck, anxious despite high income. And there are people earning less who are calm, stable, building. What's the difference? Behavior. Money obeys habits, not motivation. Motivation spends. Habits build. Motivation says, I deserve this. Habits ask, does this align with my future? That's the key. Let's talk psychology. Spending is emotional. Most people don't spend money. They regulate emotion with money. Stress, boredom, insecurity, comparison. A bad day turns into a purchase. A good day turns into a reward. A scroll turns into temptation. And the brain learns a dangerous lesson. Spend equals relief. Not value. Not progress. Relief. That conditioning is powerful and unconscious. That's why budgets fail when habits stay the same. You don't need more financial knowledge. You need emotional control. It's not about math. It's about discipline. You have a choice. Fuzz or react. Every purchase is a vote. Not just for what you own, but for who you become. Impulsive spender or intentional builder. You don't rise to financial goals. You fall to financial habits. That's the key. Now let's break the myth of more income fixes everything. More income with weak habits equals bigger problems. Bigger spending. Bigger commitments. Bigger stress. Lifestyle expands to match income. Not because people are stupid, because habits are automatic. If you don't train restraint at a low level, you won't magically have it at a higher level. Discipline scales. So does indiscipline. That's why lottery winners go broke. Athletes lose fortunes. High earners panic at layoffs. Same behavior. More zeros. If your habits don't change, your income won't save you. Now listen carefully. This is not about deprivation. This is about direction. Money must be given instructions, or it will follow impulses. You don't need their permission to live below your means. You don't need approval to say no to unnecessary upgrades. You don't need to keep up with anyone. Comparison is the fastest way to financial slavery, because comparison ignores context. You see outcomes, not sacrifices. You see highlights, not debt. You see spending, not stress. That's a trap. Step out of it. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop emotional spending. That means no buying to feel better. No spending to escape boredom. No purchases to prove worth. Those are emotional transactions. They don't add value. They steal future freedom. Stop pretending small expenses don't matter. Daily leaks sink ships. Coffee here. Subscription there. Impulse add-ons. It's not about the amount. It's about the habit. It's not about the flaw. It's about discipline. Now here's what you must start doing. Delay. Delay every non-essential purchase. 24 hours. 48 hours. Sometimes a week. Time reveals truth. Urgency fades. Clarity rises. Most wants disappear when emotions settle. That pause is power. You have a choice. Spend now or build later. Second, automate discipline. Remove decision-making. Automatic savings. Automatic investing. Automatic bill management. If discipline relies on daily willpower, it will fail. Systems outperform intentions. Boys, you don't need to feel motivated to save. You need money to never touch your hands. That's the key. Third, track behavior, not numbers. Most people track balances. That's too late. Track actions. How often you impulse spend. What emotions trigger purchases. Where money leaks consistently. Awareness breaks patterns. Patterns change outcomes. This is not about guilt. It's about control. Now let's talk identity. You don't build wealth by chasing money. You build wealth by becoming disciplined. A disciplined person doesn't ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "Does this move me forward?" Forward toward what? Freedom. Options. Money is stored time and energy. Waste it and you waste life. Use it intentionally and you buy freedom. That's the key. Now hear this clearly. Being disciplined with money does not make you cheap. It makes you powerful. It means you decide. Not your impulses. Not your emotions. Not social pressure. Decision beats reaction. Every time. And every disciplined choice compounds. Quietly. Boring at first. Unstoppable later. You don't need dramatic moves. You need consistent behavior. That's how money grows. Slow. Predictable. Relentless. Just like discipline. If your habits don't change, your income won't save you. But if your habits change, even modest income becomes powerful. Now let's lock this in. Money is a mirror. It reflects behavior. Not desire. Not intention. Behavior. If you want financial change, stop chasing motivation. Build habits. If you want stability, stop emotional spending. Choose structure. If you want freedom, delay gratification. Train patience. You have a choice. Every purchase. Every day. And those choices don't just shape your bank account. They shape who you believe you are. You've learned how discipline governs emotion. How environment programs behavior. How habits build identity. Now it's time to confront the deepest truth of all. The one most people avoid. Because discipline isn't just about action. It's about facing discomfort without escaping. You've mastered money behavior. Next, you must master pain. Because growth always demands it. You've controlled spending. Now it's time to control avoidance. Chapter 9. Emotional spending is self-betrayal. Let's call it what it is. Emotional spending is not harmless. It's not a small mistake. It's not a reward. It is self-betrayal. Every time you spend to feel better instead of build better, you vote against your future. That's the key. Money doesn't disappear when you spend it emotionally. It transforms. It becomes stress. It becomes pressure. It becomes delay. And delay is expensive. Most people don't lose money because they're careless. They lose it because they're uncomfortable. Uncomfortable with boredom. Uncomfortable with stress. Uncomfortable with comparison. So they buy relief. Not value. Not progress. Relief. And relief is temporary. But the cost is permanent. Every unnecessary purchase delays freedom. Say it again. Every unnecessary purchase delays freedom. That's not judgment. That's math. Now listen carefully. This isn't about cutting joy out of your life. It's about cutting escape out of your behavior. There's a difference. Joy is intentional. Escape is reactive. Joy aligns with direction. Escape avoids discomfort. You have a choice. Face discomfort now. Or pay for it later. That's the key. Let's break down the psychology. When you feel stressed, your brain looks for control. When you feel insecure, your brain looks for validation. When you feel bored, your brain looks for stimulation. Spending offers all three. Instantly. No effort. No delay. No resistance. Swipe. And the brain learns a dangerous rule. Discomfort equals spending. That rule doesn't disappear when income increases. It scales. That's why people buy status instead of security. Because status is visible. Security is quiet. Status gets attention. Security gets freedom. One feeds the ego. The other feeds the future. Most people choose the ego. Not because they're weak, Because they're undisciplined. It's not about desire. It's about discipline. Now let's talk about self-betrayal. Self-betrayal happens when short-term comfort overrides long-term values. When the future version of you loses so the present version can feel better. That's a trade. And it's always a bad one. Every time you say, "I deserve this," ask a harder question. Does my future deserve the consequences? That's the key. Discipline doesn't mean you never enjoy money. It means enjoyment has rules. It means pleasure is planned. Not emotional. Not impulsive. Not reactive. You don't need their permission to live below your means. You don't need approval to choose control over comfort. You don't need validation through purchases. That's borrowed confidence. And it expires fast. Now here's what you must stop doing. Stop buying to change your mood. Spending is not therapy. Shopping is not self-care. If you're stressed. If you're bored, build. If you're insecure, train. Money cannot fix internal problems. It can only hide them. Temporarily. Stop confusing wants with needs. A want feels urgent. A need survives delay. Urgency is emotional. Necessity is logical. That pause is power. You have a choice. Stop justifying purchases with future promises. I'll save later. I'll make more next month. I'll balance it out. That's not planning. That's avoidance. Avoidance always compounds. Now here's what you must start doing. Name the emotion before the purchase. Out loud if you have to. I'm bored. I'm stressed. I'm trying to impress. Once named, the spell breaks. Awareness interrupts autopilot. That's the key. Second, create friction. Make spending harder. Remove saved cards. Unsubscribe from temptation. Delay checkout. Discipline is not about willpower. It's about design. If buying is effortless, restraint must be intentional. So flip it. Make discipline automatic. Third, redirect emotion into action. Anger into training. Stress into planning. Boredom into skill building. Emotion is energy. You choose where it goes. Spend it or invest it. That choice defines outcomes. Now let's talk identity again. People who build wealth don't hate spending. They hate waste. Waste of money. Waste of energy. Waste of potential. They understand one truth deeply. Freedom is fragile. It's built slowly and destroyed quietly. Every unnecessary purchase delays freedom. Every emotional swipe pushes the finish line further away. That's not motivation. That's reality. Now hear this. Discipline with money is an act of self-respect. It says, my future matters. It says, I trust myself enough to wait. It says, I don't need instant gratification to feel whole. That's power. Most people never experience it because they confuse comfort with happiness. Comfort numbs. Happiness builds. Comfort consumes. Happiness compounds. You have a choice. One leads to control. The other leads to dependence. That's the key. Now let's lock the lesson in. Emotional spending is not about money. It's about avoidance. Avoidance of discomfort. Avoidance of patience. Avoidance of growth. And avoidance always costs more than discipline. Boys. So stop betraying yourself. Stop trading freedom for feelings. Stop letting temporary emotions dictate permanent outcomes. Choose restraint. Choose structure. Choose control. Every unnecessary purchase delays freedom, but every disciplined decision accelerates it. You've learned how habits shape money, how behavior beats motivation, how discipline creates freedom. Now it's time to go deeper, because money isn't the hardest place to practice discipline. Time is. Attention is. And most people waste both without realizing it. You've stopped emotional spending. Now you must stop emotional living. Because focus is the real currency. And it's under attack. You've conquered financial impulse. Now it's time to defend your mind. Chapter 10: Delayed gratification is a superpower. Most people lose the game before it even starts. Not because they lack talent. Not because they lack opportunity. But because they cannot wait. They want it now. They want it easy. They want it without tension. And that weakness decides everything. Delayed gratification is not a personality trait. It is a trained advantage. If you can wait, you can win. Say it again. If you can wait, you can win. That's the key. Every meaningful result in life has a delay built into it. Strength, respect, freedom. None of it arrives instantly. But the modern world has trained your brain to expect immediate reward. Swipe, consume. Dopamine on demand. And every time you give in, your brain learns one rule. I don't need to wait. That rule feels good in the moment. And it destroys you long term. You have a choice. Train the ability to wait. Or stay stuck chasing short-term relief forever. Now let's be clear. Delayed gratification is not about suffering. It's about control. It's about deciding when pleasure is earned instead of demanded. That's the key. Leaders wait. Followers react. Leaders invest. Followers consume. Leaders delay pleasure to multiply it later. Followers spend pleasure immediately and wonder why nothing grows. This is not about intelligence. It's about discipline. Now look at the real-world example. Two people earn the same income. One spends the moment money arrives. The other waits. One upgrades lifestyle. The other upgrades position. 5 years later, they live in different realities. Not because of luck. Because one could wait. Choosing long-term wealth over short-term pleasure is not glamorous. It's quiet. It's boring. It's lonely. And it works. Every time. Most people never build wealth because they spend their future in advance. They borrow happiness from tomorrow. And tomorrow always sends the bill. That's the key. Now let's talk psychology. Your brain has two systems. One wants comfort now. The other wants security later. Comfort is loud. Security is silent. Comfort screams. Security whispers. And if you don't train yourself to listen to the quiet voice, the loud one wins. Every time. Delayed gratification strengthens the part of the brain responsible for decision-making. Impulse weakens it. The more you give in, the harder waiting becomes. The more you wait, the easier discipline feels. You are training something every day. The question is what? You have a choice. Now let's get practical. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop rewarding yourself for unfinished work. That's backwards. Reward follows completion. Not effort. Not intention. Stop saying, "I'll just do it this once." That sentence destroys discipline. Discipline is built through consistency, not exceptions. Stop confusing urgency with importance. Urgent feels emotional. Important feels boring. The boring things change your life. The exciting ones distract you. Now here's what you must start doing. Practice waiting on purpose. Delay small things daily. Don't check the phone immediately. Don't eat the moment hunger appears. Don't buy the moment desire shows up. Waiting is a muscle. Train it. Second, attach pleasure to progress. You earn rewards through completion, not before. This retrains your brain to associate patience with payoff. That's the key. To zoom out, ask a better question. Will this matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, pause. Most impulses collapse under perspective. Now understand this. Delayed gratification is not deprivation. It's strategy. It's saying no now to say yes bigger later. You don't need their permission to live differently. You don't need approval to choose patience. You don't need validation for discipline. Most people won't understand your restraint, because restraint exposes their lack of it. That's fine. Let them misunderstand. You have a choice. Now let's talk about emotional pressure. Most people fail at waiting when emotions spike. Just loneliness, frustration. That's when impulse feels justified. I deserve this. I've had a hard day. I'll start tomorrow. But that's weakness talking. It's not about the emotion. It's about discipline. Emotions pass. Consequences remain. Delayed gratification teaches you a powerful truth. You don't have to obey every feeling. You can feel desire and not act. You can feel discomfort and stay still. That's strength. And strength compounds. Now hear this carefully. Every time you wait, you are telling your brain, I'm in control. That message changes identity. You stop seeing yourself as reactive. You start seeing yourself as decisive. Identity drives behavior. Behavior drives results. That's the key. Most people think freedom comes from having more. It doesn't. Freedom comes from needing less. Needing less now so you can have more later. Delayed gratification creates independence. Independence creates confidence. Confidence creates leverage. And leverage changes everything. You have a choice. Now let's lock this in. If you can wait, you can win. Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is dominance over impulse. Waiting is how leaders separate themselves quietly. No announcement. No applause. Just results. Every strong habit you've built so far depends on this skill. Emotional control. Financial discipline. Focus. They all collapse without patience. Delayed gratification is the backbone. Remove it and everything falls apart. Strengthen it and everything accelerates. Now here's the deeper truth. Delayed gratification is not just about money or habits. It's about identity. Who you are when no one is watching. Who you choose to be when temptation whispers. That's where character is formed. And character decides destiny. You've learned to control emotions. You've learned to control spending. You've learned to wait. Now there's one final layer. Because waiting alone isn't enough. Silence sharpens discipline. Silence removes distraction. Silence builds power. You've mastered patience. Now it's time to master restraint at the highest level. You've learned to wait. Now it's time to learn when to say nothing. Chapter 11. Identity controls everything. Everything you do starts with one silent sentence. Not spoken out loud. Not written down. Believed. I am this kind of person. That sentence decides what you attempt, what you tolerate, what you repeat. You don't act based on goals. You act based on identity. That's the key. You can set goals all day. But when pressure hits, identity takes over. When you're tired, when you're emotional, when no one is watching, that's when the real you shows up. And that version of you is acting in perfect alignment with what you believe you are. If you believe you're careless with money, you'll spend carelessly. If you believe you're undisciplined, you'll quit early. If you believe you always struggle, you'll find reasons to struggle. Not because it's true, because identity demands consistency. The brain hates contradiction, so it protects the story. Even when the story is destroying you, you have a choice. Change the story, or keep proving it true. Now listen carefully. Identity is not something you discover. It's something you practice. Every repeated action is a vote. Not just for a result, for a self-image. And once that image locks in, behavior follows automatically. That's why change feels hard. You're not fighting habits. You're fighting who you think you are. That's the key. Let's use a simple example. I'm bad with money. That sentence sounds harmless, honest, self-aware. But it's poison, because now every mistake becomes proof. Every failure feels expected. Every disciplined action feels temporary. The brain says, this isn't who we are. So it self-corrects. Back to the familiar. Back to the broken. Not because it's comfortable, because it's consistent. That's how identity traps people for decades. Not with force, with agreement. Now understand this. You don't need their permission to change your identity. You don't need validation to become disciplined. You don't need approval to decide who you are. Most people wait for confidence. Disciplined people act first. Confidence follows action, not the other way around. That's the key. Identity changes when evidence changes. Not words, not affirmations. Evidence. Repeated, unemotional. That's how the brain rewrites self-image. So let's get precise. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop labeling yourself. I'm lazy. I'm inconsistent. I'm not good at this. Those are not descriptions. They're instructions. And the brain follows instructions very well. Stop telling stories about your past as if they define your future. Past behavior explains patterns. It does not define destiny. Stop outsourcing identity to emotions. Feeling weak does not mean you are weak. Feeling undisciplined does not mean you lack discipline. Feelings are temporary. Identity is trained. Now here's what you must start doing. Choose a deliberate identity. Not an abstract one. A behavioral one. I am the kind of person who controls myself. Say it again. I am the kind of person who controls myself. That sentence matters. Because it's specific. It doesn't promise perfection. It promises authority. Control over actions. Control over reactions. Control over impulses. That's discipline. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Second, prove the identity with small actions. One controlled choice. One paused reaction. One disciplined decision. The brain records evidence. And slowly, the story changes. You have a choice. Act like the old identity. Or build the new one. Third, remove identity threats. People will test you. Old environments. Old habits. Old relationships. Not intentionally. But familiarity pulls you backward. Protect the new identity. Not aggressively. Quietly. Distance is discipline. Silence is discipline. Consistency is discipline. That's the key. Now let's talk about the discomfort. Identity change feels unstable. Because you're no longer who you were. But you're not yet who you're becoming. That middle phase feels awkward. Resist the urge to retreat. That discomfort is proof of growth. Most people quit here. Not because it's hard. Because it's unfamiliar. But unfamiliar is where power lives. You have a choice. Now hear this truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. Every time. That's why goals without identity work temporarily. Identity makes change automatic. You stop negotiating. You stop debating. You simply act in alignment. I don't do that. I do this. No emotion. No drama. Just consistency. That's power. Now let's connect this back to everything you've learned. Thought control works when identity supports it. Emotional control works when identity supports it. Financial discipline works when identity supports it. Without identity, discipline collapses under pressure. With identity, discipline becomes effortless. That's the key. So say it again. I am the kind of person who controls myself. Not once. Daily. Not loudly. Calmly. Then act accordingly. One decision at a time. You don't need to change everything. You need to change alignment. Behavior follows belief. Belief follows evidence. Evidence follows action. That's the loop. And you control the entry point. You have a choice. Now lock this in. Identity is the operating system. Habits are the applications. Environment is the interface. If you don't change the system, glitches continue. If you do, everything runs differently. You've rebuilt habits. You've trained patience. You've mastered restraint. Now there's one final piece. Because even the strongest identity fails without structure. Willpower fades. Motivation disappears. Systems remain. You've changed who you are. Now it's time to lock it in permanently. By building systems that obey you. You've rewritten identity. Now it's time to automate discipline. Chapter 12. Control the system, not just the mood. Motivation is unreliable. It shows up late. It leaves early. And it disappears exactly when you need it most. Systems don't. That's the key. If your life depends on how you feel, you will lose control. If your life runs on systems, you will win quietly. Every time. Most people try to change their mood. Disciplined people change the system. One is emotional. The other is structural. One fades. The other stays. You have a choice. Rely on feelings. Or rely on design. Now listen carefully. Your mood is weather. Your system is climate. Weather changes daily. Climate determines outcomes. If you build your life around motivation, you're building on sand. If you build your life around systems, you're building on steel. That's the key. Let's define the problem. People say they lack discipline. They don't. They lack systems. They wake up and decide everything in real time. What to eat. What to do. What to spend. When to stop. Decision after decision after decision. That drains willpower. And when willpower runs out, emotion takes over. Then comes regret. This is not a character flaw. It's a structural failure. It's not about weakness. It's about discipline. Discipline through systems. Now let's talk psychology. The brain loves defaults. What's easy gets repeated. What's automatic gets obeyed. If your default is chaos, chaos wins. If your default is structure, structure wins. Systems remove negotiation. No debate. No drama. No delay. Just action. That's power. You don't need their permission to build systems. You don't need approval to automate your discipline. You don't need motivation to follow a rule. Rules decide for you. That's the key. Now let's get concrete. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop asking yourself, do I feel like it? That question hands control to emotion. Emotion is not qualified to lead. Stop relying on memory. Memory fails under stress. Systems don't. Stop improvising your life every day. Improvisation feels free. It creates instability. Now here's what you must start doing. Build rules. Rules are pre-decisions. They eliminate choice in moments of weakness. For example, I save before I spend. I train before I relax. I plan tomorrow tonight. No exceptions. Rules protect you from yourself. That's the key. Next, automate everything possible. Automatic savings. Automatic investments. Automatic bill payments. Money should move without emotion. If you see it, you'll spend it. If you automate it, you'll keep it. Systems beat emotions. Boys. Now routines. Routines anchor behavior. Same wake time. Same start ritual. Same shutdown process. Routines reduce decision fatigue. When decisions decrease, discipline increases. That's not theory. That's neuroscience. Your brain has limited decision energy. Spend it wisely. Now let's talk about if-then planning. This is critical. If this happens, then I do this. If I feel stressed, I walk. If I want to spend, I wait 24 hours. If I want to quit, I reduce the task, not abandon it. This removes emotion from the equation. You're not deciding in the moment. You decided in advance. That's discipline. You have a choice. Decide once, or decide repeatedly and fail. Now let's address resistance. People say systems feel restrictive. They're wrong. Chaos is restrictive. Indecision is restrictive. Regret is restrictive. Systems create freedom by removing friction. When the right action is automatic, life becomes lighter. That's the paradox. Structure gives freedom. That's the key. Now look at your environment again. Systems and environment work together. If junk is visible, junk is eaten. If distractions are close, focus disappears. If spending is easy, saving fails. Design beats desire. Move the phone. Remove the apps. Change the layout. Don't fight temptation. Eliminate it. That's discipline at the highest level. Now listen closely. A system is only as strong as its consistency. You don't need many. You need a few that never break. Morning system. Money system. Work system. Recovery system. Simple. Repeatable. Non-negotiable. You have a choice. Build systems once, or rebuild your life repeatedly. Now let's address identity one last time. Systems reinforce identity. Every time the system runs, it proves who you are. I am the kind of person who controls myself. Not because you feel strong, because the system carries you. On weekdays, on tired days, on emotional days. Systems don't care how you feel. They execute. That's the key. Now let's lock this lesson in. Motivation fades. Systems remain. Emotion fluctuates. Systems stabilize. Willpower drains. Systems persist. Systems beat emotions. Boys, say it again. Systems beat emotions. Boys, this is how high performers live. Quietly, consistently, without drama. No hype. No excuses. Just structure. Just results. You don't rise to your best days. You fall to your systems. Build them wisely. You've learned to control thoughts. You've learned to direct emotions. You've learned to build habits. You've learned to delay gratification. You've learned to shape identity. Now you've learned the final layer. Lock it all in with systems. Because when systems run your life, discipline becomes automatic. And when discipline is automatic, freedom follows. You have a choice. Design your life. Or let it default. This is where everything comes together. Control the system, and you control the outcome. Control the outcome, and you control your life. You've done the work. Now it's time to seal it. Not with motivation. With structure. Not with emotion. With discipline. You're no longer chasing control. You've built it. Now step into the final truth. The lesson that ties everything together. The decision that defines everything that follows. Everything you want, clarity, discipline, confidence, financial control, it starts the same way. With control. Control of your thoughts when chaos hits. Control of your emotions when pressure rises. Control of your habits when motivation disappears. And control of your money when temptation calls. This audiobook was not meant to inspire you. It was meant to train you. Now the challenge is simple. Choose one habit, one thought, one emotional reaction, and take control today. Because the moment you control yourself, life stops controlling you.